It's a Sunday night in August, 1971. Across America, families are doing exactly what families do on a Sunday night. Finishing dinner, half watching TV, thinking about Monday morning. Nothing about this evening feels historic. Then the broadcast is interrupted. President Richard Nixon steps in front of the cameras, and in less than 20 minutes, he says something that no one watching fully understands yet, something that quietly rewrites the meaning of money itself. The words stamped on every American dollar bill, a promise that you could trade that paper for real physical gold, just became worthless. Empty. A promise nobody in power actually intended to keep anymore. This is the story of how that happened. Not because gold disappeared, not because anyone stole it, but because a system built on trust finally ran out of trust to spend. I'm Copper Fox, and trust me, this one's worth sticking around for. Let's get into the details. To understand why this night mattered, you have to go back almost 30 years, to 1944. World War II is ending, and the world's economies are in ruins. Officials from 44 countries meet in a small New Hampshire town called Bretton Woods to design a new financial order, one that won't collapse the way the pre-war system did. Here's the deal they strike. The US dollar gets pegged to gold at a fixed rate, $35 for 1 ounce. Every other currency in the world then gets pegged to the dollar instead of gold directly. In plain terms, the dollar becomes the world's stand-in for gold. Hold dollars, and in theory, you're holding something as good as gold, redeemable on demand. For a while, this works beautifully. The US has enormous gold reserves, the dollar is trusted everywhere, and global trade rebuilds itself around it. But promises like this only work as long as you can keep them. Over the next 2 decades, the United States spends a lot. A war in Vietnam, expanding social programs at home. Each of those needs money, and the easiest way to get money is to print more of it. The problem is, gold doesn't print itself. By the late 1960s, there are far more dollars circulating around the planet than there is gold sitting in American vaults to back them up. Other countries start to notice, and some start to ask, quite reasonably, if our dollars are supposed to be as good as gold, can we actually have the gold, please? I was standing on a dock in France once, watching crates get loaded onto a ship, gold, leaving New York for Paris, because someone in Paris had finally decided to cash in. Rulers love printing money. They love it a lot less when someone asks them to prove it's worth anything. France, under President Charles de Gaulle, becomes the loudest voice doing exactly that, trading dollars back for gold, shipment after shipment. Other nations quietly follow. American gold reserves start draining out the door fast. It's the financial version of a bank run, except the bank is the entire United States government, and the people lining up to withdraw are foreign governments. By 1971, the math has stopped working. The US simply does not have enough gold left to honor every dollar that exists if the world ever decided to cash in all at once. The promise made in 1944 is now a promise the country physically cannot keep. So what do you do when you can't keep a promise? But admitting that would crash the entire global economy overnight. In mid-August 1971, Nixon quietly summons his top economic advisors to Camp David, the presidential retreat tucked away in the Maryland mountains. Treasury Secretary John Connally and a small circle of officials locked themselves away for the weekend, working through a plan that almost nobody outside that room knows is happening. Their idea isn't to fix the gold problem, it's to remove it. Stop letting anyone trade dollars for gold at all. Just close the window. Officially, they call it temporary. Unofficially, almost everyone involved understands this is not coming back. Picture 13 men, a mountain cabin, and a decision that would touch every wallet on earth. Made over the kind of weekend most people spend mowing the lawn. On Sunday, August 15th, Nixon goes on air and announces what's now known as the Nixon Shock. wage and price freezes, import tariffs, and buried inside the announcement, the line that matters most for our story. The United States will no longer convert dollars into gold for other countries. The gold window, open since 1944, is shut. Just like that, the dollar's anchor to anything physical is gone. Every currency on earth that had been pegged to the dollar, and through it to gold, is suddenly floating free, with nothing solid underneath it except trust in governments to behave responsibly. This is the moment fiat currency, as we know it today, truly begins worldwide. Money backed by nothing but a promise written on paper and the public's willingness to believe in it. In the short term, it works, sort of. The shock is absorbed, markets adjust, the economy doesn't collapse overnight, but cut the anchor on a currency, and you've also removed the one thing that used to stop governments from printing as much money as political convenience demanded. Through the rest of the 1970s, that's precisely what happens. Money supply grows untethered, prices climb. Inflation, which had been a manageable concern, turns into a defining economic crisis of the decade. Stagflation, rising prices paired with a stagnant economy, a combination economists at the time struggled to even explain. The temporary measure from that Camp David weekend reshapes how every economy on the planet behaves to this day. Here's the part that matters beyond the history lesson. Money has never really been about the paper or the metal or the numbers on a screen. It's about trust. Trust that whoever issues it will keep its value meaningful. The moment that trust gets stretched too thin, whether through overspending, overprinting, or simply promising more than you can deliver, the system bends. Sometimes it bends quietly, like in 1971. Sometimes, as you're about to see, it bends violently enough to bring down the person holding the power. Understanding this one mechanism, promise, overextension, breaking point, is the single most useful lens you can carry into any conversation about inflation, currency, or economic collapse, ancient or modern. It's the same pattern over and over, just wearing different clothes. Funny thing about broken promises, they rarely announce themselves. They just quietly stop being true while everyone keeps acting like nothing changed. But here's something most people don't realize. Nixon wasn't the first ruler to face this exact problem. Almost 2,000 years earlier, an emperor sitting on the throne of Rome ran into the very same wall. Too many promises, not enough gold and silver to back them. His solution to that problem didn't just devalue Roman money. It helped destroy him. Next Wednesday, we go back to ancient Rome to uncover exactly how one emperor's attempt to fix his empire's money quietly toppled his own reign. That's how inflation toppled a Roman emperor. And trust me, the parallels to this story will surprise you. If today's story changed how you think about money even a little, subscribe and stick around. Some lessons history keeps trying to teach us more than once.